Welcome to the Alice and Charles Taylor Scholar Athlete Lead Scholarship information session for our 2025-2026 academic calendar year scholarship cycle. Thank you for being here. Whether you're a student, parent, counselor, coach, or principal, this session is designed to give you a clear overview of the Alice and Charles Taylor Scholar Athlete Lead Scholarship, what it is, who it's for, what we're looking for, and how the process works. This scholarship is rooted in legacy, character, and opportunity, and our hope is that by the end of this overview, you'll understand both the spirit of the scholarship and the practical steps involved in applying for it or helping guide students. So, over the course of the next 30 minutes, what we'll cover is who we are as a foundation, why the acronym LEAD. We'll talk about the eligibility process, how to find out if your students are eligible or if your school is eligible to submit an application. We'll discuss our statewide rollout over the course of the next 3 years from 2026 through 2028. We'll talk about the timeline for submitting the application and how to apply. And then we'll share some tips and FAQs that we've discovered over the course of the last 10 years in our interactions with parents, students, counselors, activities directors, and coaches, as well as principals. And then we'll talk about next steps. So to get started, we want to talk a little bit about the Taylor Lead Foundation and the Alice and Charles Taylor Scholar Athlete Lead Scholarship. This scholarship was created to honor Charles and Alice Taylor and the values that they modeled for their family, myself and my two older brothers, Greg and Gary, and the community. It was all about hard work, integrity, perseverance, service, and this belief in the power of the nexus between academics and athletics. So the scholarship was actually created by Gary, my older brother, and myself during the 2015 Mountain Home High School Athletic Hall of Fame dinner, where Gary and I were heading down to Mountain Home to attend the dinner. And we talked about, just how we had gotten here and what we recognized that it was the impact that our parents had had on us, a profound impact through leadership that they demonstrated on a daily basis. My father was a member of the U.S. Air Force for 27 years, and my mother was a paraprofessional, a special education teacher in elementary school, but also that educational excellence. It was a priority in our household that we would thrive academically and put the work in that was required to do well in school, first and foremost above all else. But secondly, athletic achievements. When my brothers Greg, Gary, and I decided that we wanted to participate in the band or in sports, our parents were 100% behind us and wanted to make sure that we applied all of our skills to that endeavor. And so athletic achievement, not just about the outcomes and a successful team or being the highest scorer or the best player, but making sure that we gave our all to our athletic endeavors. And then distinguished community service. Both of our parents embodied what it meant to serve one's community wholeheartedly. And so that is what this scholarship was about. And what began as a Mountain Home rooted effort has now grown into a statewide vision through the Taylor Lead Foundation that was co-founded by my brother Gary, who is now a senior project executive for a commercial construction company out in the Bay Area. Gary received a scholarship to Stanford University, where he played on the football team, and then later on went to work with a Bay Area firm that he's been with for over 30 years. I followed in his footsteps. Both Gary and I played all sorts of sports at Mountain Home. Gary played football, basketball, and ran track. I played volleyball, basketball, and ran track as well. I received an academic scholarship to Stanford University and later went to walk on to the women's basketball team, where I was part of two national championship teams. and then later went on to be an executive in sports and entertainment predominantly with the WNBA league office for 10 years and with three WNBA teams as president and general manager in my last stop. And then I'm also an announcer for ESPN as well. So sports and academics has always played a huge role in our lives. So when we started the scholarship in 2015, we wanted to make sure that we built it into something that was sustainable. And so Gary is the co-founder and vice president, and I am the co-founder and president of the Taylor Lead Foundation. And this is not just about a scholarship. It's about legacy. It's about impact. And so we'll share a little bit more about why this matters, because it's looking for more than just a resume from students, applicants. It's looking for the character and the spirit behind the accomplishments that we truly believe lead to a successful life of impact beyond just oneself, but through the vehicle and the platforms that they use and leverage to impact their communities. So you may be wondering what the acronym LEAD recognizes and stands for. Well, at the center of this scholarship is the word LEAD, and LEAD stands for leadership, educational excellence, athletic achievement, and distinguished community service. These are not just words on a page. They're the framework for the application, the review rubric, and ultimately the selection process. Leadership is about initiative, influence, and integrity. Educational excellence is about the commitment to learning, growth, and academic effort, and the application in the classroom. Athletic achievement is about dedication, teamwork, resilience, and contribution through sport. And distinguished community service is about serving beyond oneself and making a meaningful difference in your community. For applicants, this means your strongest application will show specific stories and examples in each of these four areas. One of the most exciting developments in the Alice and Charles Taylor Scholar Athlete Lead Scholarship is our planned phase statewide rollout. In 2026, as part of the 2025-2026 academic calendar, the scholarship will expand to districts 3 and 4. And that will also always include representation from Mountain Home High School into perpetuity. So Mountain Home will always receive scholarship and we'll have scholarship recipients, and then we will roll it out in phases in a 3-year process. In 2027, the scholarship will expand to include districts 3 and 4, as well as districts 5 and 6. And in 2028, it'll be statewide. So students across the state, including Mountain Home, will be eligible to apply for the scholarship. And the reason for the phasing is intentional. It allows us to really have a quality review process, equitable school outreach. We want to have relationships with the counselors and principals, coaches, and activities directors at schools throughout the state so that you understand what we're looking for and that we are able to identify the optimal candidates for the scholarship. And this phase rollout also helps with the continued growth of the scholarship's long-term funding and endowment vision. So for families and schools, it means that if your district is not yet active, your turn is coming and the framework is being built carefully and sustainably. In order to find out if your school and your students are eligible to apply for the Alice and Charles Taylor Scholar Athlete Lead Scholarship, please use your camera function on your phone and scan this QR code, or go to our website, taylorleadscholarship.com, and navigate to our eligibility embed page so you can find out what schools are eligible in what year to apply for the scholarship. Note, if your school is not listed, please send us an email via the website, and we are constantly updating the website to reflect the new schools, public and charter schools and private schools that are coming online. So for 2025-2026, here is the timeline. And the partner portal on our website lays out the key dates clearly. So information sessions run from mid-January through mid-February. Applications are open to submit starting in February 2nd, and that goes through the deadline of April 10th at the end of the day on April 10th. So applications must be submitted through the portal by 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on Friday, April 10th for this 2026 scholarship cycle. The review process, which is multi-pronged process, will begin on April 13th and run through May 1st. And that review process will consist of a scholarship committee with our foundation members of our board as they review the scholarship applications that have been submitted, the complete scholarship applications that have been submitted. So you may be wondering, like, who are we looking to award the lead scholarship to? So for the current cycle, the scholarship is open to senior student athletes in eligible high schools located in District 3 and District 4 and in Mountain Home. And that school, Mountain Home High School, remains part of the program every year. Students must be on track to graduate this academic year, earning at least a 3.5 GPA, and they must participate in 2 or more sports during high school. For their school, we also account for club participation, accessible participation, and a variety of other platforms that students participate in sports. We also want to see a demonstration of meaningful community service, not just checking the box, but something that the student is passionate about, and they're able to demonstrate that through their application. Ideal candidates will also have a full-time post-secondary plan, whether that is enrolling in a full-time accredited bachelor's program or a trade school during the upcoming fall. And financial need may be taken into consideration, but is not a requirement. Finally, nominations or applications may come from teachers, coaches, or administrators, or the scholar athletes themselves. And this is important for schools and counselors to know. Eligibility is district-based in this phase of the rollout, but the core criteria remain the same. And one of the things that we found to be of much help in Mountain Home was when a teacher, a coach, the principal, or a counselor was able to speak to student athletes to let them know about this scholarship and their eligibility for it and encourage them to apply. That is something that is very helpful. So if you know of any students in your school or community who meets these criteria, again, they're seniors in an eligible district, they have a 3.5 or above GPA, they participate in 2 or more sports, they've demonstrated a commitment to meaningful community service, and they plan to enroll in a full-time post-secondary institution, whether that's a trade school or a 4-year college or 2-year college, and they would like to apply, please encourage them to do so. So there's a 3-part process via Submittable, which is our third-party platform for scholarship applications to be submitted. To be considered, students must complete 3 parts of the application process. First is the online scholarship application on Submittable. The link to that application can be found on our website and in materials that we have sent to the schools. Once you get to Submittable, you'll simply have to set up an account on Submittable. It is free, and then you'll be able to submit your eligibility requirements and enter the scholarship application portal. The second aspect of the application process is a virtual video interview that can be conducted on the student's own time. It's a self-guided interview that has 7 to 10 questions for the student to answer. And the last portion of the application process is the statements of recommendation. 2 statements of recommendations or references are required for each application, and those references or recommendations must be submitted in advance of the scholarship deadline in order for the scholarship application to be complete. And we encourage the 2 recommendations to come from at least 1 teacher and 1 coach. And there is an option to submit a 3rd optional letter of recommendation as well. The guidelines in Submittable will walk you through this process and allow you to invite your letters of reference or recommenders to submit their letter of recommendation directly through the portal. So you may be wondering what reviewers are looking for. We have a well-rounded group of committee members who come from higher education, academia, their parents, their teachers, or uh, members of academic institutions. And so really excited about the group of folks that will be reviewing the scholarship applications in each scholarship cycle. A strong application is specific, reflective, and authentic. The guidelines will be outlined in Submittable and walk you through exactly what we're looking for. But first and foremost, it's all based around the acronym LEAD. So know what LEAD means, be authentic, mind the deadlines, have your materials ready, and answer the video prompts directly. We value honesty, growth, resilience, and impact more than perfection. So when students describe leadership, academic effort, athletics, or service, they should avoid simply listing titles or activities. Instead, they should answer questions like, what did I do? Who did it help? What changed? What did I learn? Etc. So the reviewer is going to look for the leadership impact. What impact did you actually have, and what learning did you have via that impact? The academic growth and rigor. It's not just where you start, it's where you finish. And so did we see growth and dedication throughout the process and the course of the student's journey? What was the rigor? Did they apply themselves and challenge themselves in the classroom with the course load? We'll look to athletic commitment and teamwork. It's not just the best player on a team or the highest score, but also the commitment and the teamwork that is displayed. And we've had some incredible stories come out of the students that have submitted applications in Mountain Home about their commitment to athletics, the impact that athletics has had on them, the teamwork that was on display, the role on the team, the impact that that individual had on the success for the team in that season. We also want to speak to community service and the consistency of community service. Again, not just checking the box, but the presence in the community and having an impact and a purpose. And then finally, we talk about the clarity and the reflection. We want to be specific and have clarity over the examples that are submitted, but also reflective. There's so much learning that takes place when you reflect upon things that you did or the journey that one has taken. And so reviewers will take a look for those responses that offer a lot of clarity and reflection and insight from the submission. For applicants, here's some things to do and some things to avoid. The things to do is to connect your actions to the outcomes. So what I did led to this specific outcome, good, bad, or indifferent. To quantify your responses whenever possible. To align the responses and the examples that are utilized to the LEAD acronym. And then to proofread. Take the moment to make sure that your submissions are accurate, grammatically correct, spelling is solid, but also understand that the reviewers will offer grace to students as well, and studying and understanding that perfection is not what we are looking for, but we are looking for diligence in the responses. And then the things to avoid, the vague claims, just things that are too general and vague language. A last minute rush. You certainly can tell when a student has not taken the time to submit a thoughtful application or thoughtful responses. We also want to avoid those generic recommendations. So when you're looking to request a coach, a teacher, someone from the community to submit the letters of recommendation, make sure it's someone that actually has spent time with the students and is not just offering generic recommendations or references, but someone who can be specific and use specific examples as well. And then the last thing that you definitely want to avoid is ignoring the prompt or the question. If you are copying and pasting from other applications and your response is not tracking with what the question required, that is something that the reviewers will note as well. So here's some things that we've made available to students, parents, coaches, activities directors, counselors, principals, and superintendents. The LEAD Scholarship Partner Portal is designed to make this scholarship application process easy to navigate for schools, students, and families. The portal includes district overviews and eligibility, launch emails, and bulletin board blurbs that you can share or use in your communications, staff slide decks, counselor briefing decks, posters and flyers, coaches' toolkits, QR codes and flyers, student and parents checklists, a parent's guide, application links, information session information, and more. In other words, it's not just an application, it's a supported process. So for counselors, principals, and coaches, the portal is ready-made communication toolkit. You can download the files, you can link to it and edit some of the documents and customize them for your schools. And for families and students, it's a step-by-step support hub. Inside of the portal, you'll find a lot of family-friendly resources as well. Again, it's a student checklist to help you navigate the process and the timeline, a parent's guide that is available in Spanish as well, key dates to note so that you know when the application process opens and closes and when you can expect to hear if the student has been awarded a scholarship. And then the all important eligibility link just to confirm if a student or school is eligible to submit an application in this particular year or what year they will be eligible. Just a quick overview, we're building for multi-year impact. So we're moving toward an endowment for multi-year awards. Currently, it is a one-year scholarship award for high school seniors only, but building toward multiple years. We also are offering grants, persistent support. So for mentoring, emergency aid, things to help students make sure that they're navigating their process. And then our goal is the go on and completion rate. We want to make sure that more Idaho students are going on to post-secondary education, whether again that's a vocational education school or a college or university. And then we also want to make sure that we are assisting them with our programming, our mentorship, and our support to completion. So make sure that students are going from that freshman year to college graduation. For those of you that have more questions, here's some quick FAQs from our previous experiences that may come up. Criteria, is it changing? No, the criteria is the same today as it has been for years, and it will be consistent statewide. So every scholarship cycle, all students and student athletes who are applying for the Alice and Charles Taylor Athlete Lead Scholarship will be subjected to the same criteria. The scholarship is currently not renewable. It's a one-time scholarship today, but in the future, we are aiming for a multi-year scholarship via an endowment program. If your students aren't eligible yet, join the interest lists, review the toolkits, so that you stay up to date on the latest information that we are sharing. And then lastly, recommendations. The coaches and teachers who are asked to submit recommendations, they can submit those directly in the submittable portal so that the students don't have to worry about tracking that down. We do encourage students to make the request as early in the process as possible so that these coaches, counselors, teachers do not have to rush in completing that application. So here's just a little bit about what we suggest that you do this week. For schools, make sure you're posting the flyers with the QR code and some of the PA reads. Invite families to attend a session or to review the info session video that will be posted on the website. Students, ask your coaches or your teacher for the letters of recommendation as soon as you can in the process. Follow up with them if they have not submitted it. You will be able to follow that in the portal. Make sure you review the checklist to make sure you have all the information that is needed, from your transcript. An unofficial transcript will work, to some of the data that we're requesting. And then make sure you schedule just a drafting time. It should not take you that long to submit the application, but it will take a few thoughtful minutes. And so make sure that you carve out the time on your calendar to focus on submitting the application. And then for families, again, pick a session that you can join or review the recording of our information sessions so that you have clarity over what the expectations are and the process will be. Please bookmark deadlines. Encourage your students to submit their applications well before the deadline to make sure that all of the components have been completed. And then confirm your access to technology. The application is online, so you will need to have a good connection to make sure that you can submit the application and complete various components of the application. Here are the information sessions for 2026. Again, from late January through late February, sessions are available. In the partner portal, the information sessions and registration links are available. And if you do miss a session, please feel free to click on the link to the recording so that you can still get the information. So if you're a student, your next step is to confirm your eligibility, begin your application early, and line up your coach and teacher recommendations as soon as possible. If you're a parent or counselor, principal, or coach, your next step is to help students understand both the opportunity and the timeline, and to encourage specific students to apply for the scholarship. We thank you so much for joining us for this info session. If you have any questions, please email us at hello@taylorleadscholarship.com or log on to the taylorleadscholarship.com website and our Lead Scholarship Partner Portal for more specifics about the scholarship. Thank you so much. We look forward to reviewing the applications and supporting Idaho students. Thank you.